Office vacancy in Burlington is up, so logically finding office space should be easy. Then you start touring, and suddenly it's a parade of 1990s layouts, long corridors, or suites that need 6 months and a contractor with patience. If you've toured a few offices recently and walked out thinking, none of this works for us, you're not imagining it. The vacancy number tells you how much space is empty. Burlington has office space, just not always the kind anyone wants to move into, and I'll explain why. I'm Susan, that commercial realtor. I work with office tenants and owners across Burlington and the Halton region. Built for business, backed by data, negotiating with bite. I'm going to show you what the vacancy number for office space truly means and what it doesn't. First, let's put that vacancy number into perspective. If it feels like the vacancy number sounds bigger than it is, you're not wrong. Burlington has roughly 5 million square feet of office space, and 12% of that right now is vacant. Roughly 675,000 square feet. That sounds like a healthy selection of choice, and in reality, those choices, they narrow quickly. Average net rents have a range. In Class A, it's $16 to $20 a square foot. Class B, $14 to $18 a square foot. And TMI, or additional rent, typically sits between $12 and $18 a square foot, depending on the building and the year it was constructed. So 12% vacancy, what's the issue? Here's the catch. The only thing vacancy percentages tell you is how much space is empty. They don't tell you if anyone actually wants it, which means only a slice of that 12% is truly functional. Between older layouts, inefficient designs, or space that needs 4 to 6 month build-out before anyone can operate. Sure, vacancy went up, yet selection did not magically improve, and that gap, that's why tours feel disappointing. Right now, the office market really runs in 2 lanes. The first lane is move-in ready space. Suites with logical layouts, good light, and only minor cosmetic work. And you can occupy those quickly, which is why those spaces move fast. The second lane has construction space. Large floor plates waiting for tenant design, or older layouts that need demolition and a proper build-out. 4 months, 6 months, sometimes longer. Those spaces aren't bad, they just require patience and a construction schedule. And most of all, they're not ready today. If your business needs space this quarter, that second lane may as well not exist. Layout matters more than square footage, and most office users don't need more space, they need better space. You're not leasing just square footage, you're leasing workflow. A poorly designed 6,000 square foot office can cost you more operational friction than a well-designed 4,800 square foot one. Less wasted space means, well, obviously lower total rent and renovation costs. More importantly, though, better staff experience and retention and fewer future disruptions. Design efficiency quietly protects balance sheets. Let's walk through a very common office decision in Burlington. You're looking at 2 spaces and both are 6,000 square feet. One is Class A at roughly $35.75 gross per square foot, which works out to $214,500 per year. The other is a Class B unit at $27 gross, or about $162,000 per year. On paper, the Class B suite looks like the bargain, and for a moment, it is. Then you walk it. Closed offices, odd corridors, corners, nobody quite knows what to do with. In total, about 10% of the space, roughly 600 square feet, is essentially unusable. At $27 per square foot all in, that wasted space alone is costing you nearly $16,200 every year. Space your business simply can't use. Corridors are lovely, they just don't generate revenue. Now, compare that to the Class A suite. Yes, it costs more per square foot, but the layout is efficient, open work areas, logical meeting rooms, good light. Every square foot is working for you. So the real question stops being, which space is cheaper? The real question becomes, which space actually works for the business operating inside of it? You may be wondering why landlords haven't simply renovated everything. Construction pricing is still elevated. Owners are cautious about spending $60 to $100 per square foot on speculative improvement, especially without a tenant ready to sign. So more space sits in good enough condition. This is where I structure the conversation differently for you. Instead of asking, is this perfect? We ask, can we make this work functionally and financially? tenant improvement allowances, free rent, phased build-out. These are just some of the things I negotiate for you, so you don't overpay for inefficiency. We shape the outcome, we don't wait for it. The businesses getting the best office outcomes right now do the following, beginning with they start early. They prioritize function over price. They negotiate improvements instead of waiting for perfection. They don't expect the market to hand them the ideal space, they structure it. And that's exactly what I help you do. So yes, office vacancy in Burlington is higher than it was just 2 years ago. Good office space is still surprisingly limited. The difference isn't availability, it's suitability. When you work with me, we stop wasting time touring space that never had a chance of working in the first place. That's when the office search stops feeling frustrating and starts feeling strategic. You save time, you save money, and your team ends up in space that truly works. If you're touring office space right now and stuck somewhere between too expensive and not usable, that's usually a sign the search needs structure. And that's exactly what I help businesses do. Subscribe if you want straight answers about how office and industrial deals actually work in Burlington and across Halton. Like the video if you value evidence over optimism. I'm Susan, that commercial realtor, built for business, backed by data, negotiating with bite. Now that you know, what are you going to do about it?